Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul up here, and today we have a coffee request. This one comes from Nami, and Nami says, let's talk about the cultural differences. This is a video called Brutally Honest Communication Style of Koreans. Okay, and then you add the language barrier on top of that. Yeah, a lot of misunderstandings and chaos will ensue. This is from a channel called Sean Pablo. Thank you for joining in, Lena. See you soon. We're live on Twitch, by the way. If you guys want to check out Sean Pablo, link is in the description. Let's go, guys.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So
Hi,
you guys
Sean.
asked for this video and I made it. The communication style of Koreans that sometimes shocks foreigners. So what do I mean by this? I'll give you an example. I was at a party one time with some foreigner and Korean friends, and I was with my Korean girlfriend. One of our Korean friends looked at me and my girlfriend and said, "Wow, Sean, she's way better looking than you." Don't worry, I wasn't offended by this. She didn't say it to be mean, but it was definitely kind of shocking. I've also sometimes heard my Korean friends say things like, "Oh, you've gained weight," or "I'm fat now, I gained a lot of weight." Or they'll say about themselves in front of a bunch of people, "Oh, I need to lose weight, I'm fat now." And as an American, it's kind of awkward to hear this kind of stuff because we never talk about ourselves in this brutally honest way in front of other people. And I know not all Koreans say things like,
But to be honest, if you're talking about yourself, it's fine. But if you're like invading someone else's privacy, then yeah, I think a lot of people will be like shocked.
this, but it's pretty common and I'm used to it now. So I decided to go around Seoul and ask some foreigners what they think of this communication style, with particular emphasis on the brutal honesty. This was a very interesting video and I hope you guys enjoy it. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Venezuela.
I'm so curious,
Venezuela,
during your
nice.
time here, you're hanging out with Koreans, you're making Korean friends.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like the difference in communication style?
They're direct. Sometimes I like that because in my home country, sometimes people say, sorry for the word, bullshit, but here they're really honest and direct, but sometimes it can hurt you a little bit. Like here, I don't know why, every time I go clubbing, all the boys, they look at me, but they look and say like, "Oh, you're so petite." I'm like, yeah, I know. I can't do anything about it, that my height, I can figure it out. I can be taller.
Hi, I'm from Armenia.
I am from Kurdistan.
So in Armenia, if you have a big nose, that's not something you would brag about.
Yeah.
A lot of people go do some plastic surgery to have smaller noses.
Interesting.
Azuma was like looking at me and my friend, so we have Armenian noses, of course, and she was like, "Oh, 코 진짜 크다." I don't know.
Wow.
I think Koreans once say that. That's a compliment.
Yeah, I think
Is it a compliment
But
to have
for
a big
us, it
nose
was
in
like,
Korea?
Oh my gosh, we have big noses.
How's it going? Where are you from?
France.
Morocco. Since we both of us have curly hair, I think they're not really used to see that. Since they associate, I think, brown people with like Bruno Mars, they usually say, "Oh, Bruno Mars, that's your song," and I'm like, "That's not my song." But yeah, I think
They
it's
think
like,
he's
it's more in a
Bruno
funny
Mars.
way, not really insulting way. I feel like.
Hey, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from the US. Let's say I ask them how this outfit looks on me. They'll be like, "No." Can you try that one on? But I mean, that's pretty good because, you don't leave playing for something that doesn't look good on you. So,
Exactly. Right. So actually the feedback, you can trust it, right?
yes, I've had pretty honest conversations with my friends. And I feel like that has made me become closer to them in a
So guys, I reacted to Germany as well, and Germany also has this very direct approach. So Germans and Koreans, I think they kind of like are very brutally honest.
in such a short frame. Yeah.
I think it's more like in a helpful way. They're gonna be like, "It's not gonna look good," so just like change, go with something else.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you from?
Pretty good, man. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I'm from France, Paris. We both met in Taekwondo club. Yeah, I remember a lot of
Taekwondo,
instances of them
nice.
being very direct. Whenever you miss practices sometime, or like you're not there, they'll ask you direct, like, why we're not there, why you're not responding to messages, why didn't you tell me you weren't gonna come, why didn't you, so like it's more direct, and honestly, I like that better.
You like it better?
Yeah.
Right now, I was just buying makeup, and the girls are like, "Oh my God, you look so tired." And I don't know if it was true, but it was true. I was tired, but I didn't want to hear that. Now I buy some makeup for today because I don't want to look tired anymore.
A lot of people in the comments have said, if you don't want to hear something, don't ask. But in this case, you're not asking, you're just buying groceries or buying makeup, and people are just saying, "Oh, you look so tired." How do you guys feel about that? Because there's one thing about being brutally honest, and there's another thing about just giving opinion that was not solicited. I feel like that's kind of like at least foreigners will perceive that as kind of like a unsolicited opinion or an offense, and then people will justify that, oh, I'm just being honest, or I'm just trying to help you. And people are like, listen, I don't really think I asked for your help or your opinion. And I think that's why people get a little bit angry or offended by that, because it feels like they're meddling in your business. They're like being nosy. And I understand it's a very different culture, but it's interesting to see how people are different in that sense. Because sometimes you feel like you're helping, but at the same time, you're not helping. Maybe you are making the person's self-esteem go down. Maybe they weren't even thinking. Maybe they become self-conscious after your remark, you know. Or maybe people don't even look too tired and they start thinking, overthinking. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. It's interesting to see. We will never be that honest unless we felt close to the person. But she just mentioned the vendor came up and told her that she looks tired. And hi, Nami, thank you for joining.
I did not do makeup, and I went to the university, and my professor looked at me and she was like, condition 안 좋아하네 이렇게. I was like, no, I'm just not wearing makeup. It's not my condition. My condition is great.
But that's another thing. How do you know if you are close to the person? Like she's talking about a professor, or sometimes your coworker. Like at least here, or at least where I come from, you're not really friends with your coworker. That's why it's called a colleague or a coworker, or people you're acquaintanced with, you know. Or like we don't have relationships with our bosses. Like, you know, happy hour is a interesting idea to try to make you get closer to your boss, but nobody actually does. And like for example, HR, nobody really mingles with HR. You know, they're never going to be friends with coworkers. It's interesting to see. It's quite interesting to see. So how does it work in Korea? Do you guys have friends, or do you become friends? I know we talked about this the other day, like going to coffee or tea with your teacher or with your professor. That doesn't happen in the West. Like there's like a very separate degree, right? So you never get close to your boss. Like literally, I don't think there is. Whether it's a friend or a boss, if we've met a few times and gotten closer, we can say something like, you've gained some belly. Yeah. See, that's unsolicited information. And I think that a foreigner would be a little bit offended by that, because they feel like you're breaching the personal boundaries. They're going to be like, listen, that's too personal. I didn't give you that intimacy. I didn't give you that freedom to talk to me like that. You know, I feel like it makes a relationship sour in the West. At least, guys, let me know your thoughts. At least where I'm coming from, which is like in the Americas, we kind of feel like, when did I give you that intimacy? When did I give you that permission to talk to me like that? You know, it's interesting to see. How is it in Sweden, Bertil? Thank you for joining in.
It's kind of like feedback on your appearance. Actually, Americans are more
Yeah, they're
indirect.
more sensitive about it.
And we give
But the thing is, feedback is normally solicited. That's what I'm saying. I have no problem if somebody's asking you for honest feedback. I think it's healthy to be direct and honest. But my problem is with unsolicited people walking up to you in the shopping mall and saying, "Oh, you look tired. Why don't you buy makeup?" Which a seller would say, you know, to sell you something. Is everything at home? You look tired. And close people talk. Yeah. But that's the thing. How do you know you're close to the person unless you're actually friends with them? Because some people might think, oh, we're friends, but they're only colleagues. I feel like I remember I talked to a person one day from my country and I said, we're friends, right? And then they said, no, we're colleagues. And sometimes you think you're close to someone and you're not really. So how does that happen?
Wearing makeup is not my condition.
You can go with your coworker for a coffee or an event, and then it's okay to talk about other stuff. Just ask. Yeah, exactly. Like I did. We're friends, right? And they're like, no.
My condition is great.
So this kind of like feedback on your appearance, actually Americans are more
Yeah, they're
indirect.
more sensitive about it.
And we give answers that comfort people,
Yeah,
even if it's lying.
literally.
Which I don't
Most
agree
of
with.
the time, it's lying.
The other day I was in Oli Jones seeing all these diet products. I said, should I buy it or not? Because I don't want to stop eating Korean food. So I didn't know what to do. And then my friends in Venezuela said, but you look so good. You look like happy and happier. Even
See, now
you
somebody
like
would be
puffy.
offended by
And I was
that.
like, okay, thank you. Yeah, here's honestly, 100%, no filter.
Which one do you prefer?
I like both.
Oh.
Actually like both. That's why I think I love Korea, because I appreciate that kind of honesty. And it's really hard to be that honest. If you see my countries, if you be that honest, they will think that you're so rude, or like, why you're so mean, you don't like me, you are my enemy, something like that. And here it's not. They're just like being them. They just care about their identity. So they say, this is me, you're fat, it's okay. And you say, okay, I'm no, and finish. So I like that brutal honesty, even
Hi,
though
Whiplash.
it can hurt a little bit.
In my country, at least, it's like
We're looking at a video which shows why Koreans are brutally honest and the differences between what foreigners think and don't think.
the person wants to say something, but they say something else just to make you feel better. But I feel like if you eliminate that, it makes like communication is just a lot easier.
Yeah.
And maybe it might hurt your ego a little bit, but at least you understand the point. It gets easier when you understand they don't mean anything they say in a bad way.
Yeah, but it's not like rude type of honesty. Yeah.
And it's shocking at first, right?
Yes, very. Because when I first came here, I thought they're really shy and really hard to talk to at first. But when you get to talk to
like
them,
German,
then
right?
They're pretty direct.
But I really think that it has to do with how they were growing up in South Korea. In South Korea, people talk a lot about physique. We saw advertisement about
Plastic surgery.
plastic surgery, yes.
Appearance, a lot about appearance.
Yeah, a lot of those things.
And I guess the other side of it would be like, sometimes when Koreans are rejecting people, they're kind of very roundabout.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, we can't really do that. That might be kind of difficult.
Basically, they're straightforward in some aspects, which like in France or
Really?
Morocco, we're like kind of indifferent. Like we don't talk about the appearance.
Do you
that
guys
much.
know how to say
But
no?
When we talk like let's hang out or something like that, they're gonna try to say no without really saying no. They still like they say really vague. You don't really know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
It's just that when you learn
Yeah, because in my country, it's hard for you to say no to people. Like literally, when we say, "Oh, let's do this again," people will say, "Yeah, give me your number." No, they don't say, "Give me your number." They say, "Give me a call," and they never get your number. Oh, give me a call. Yeah, we'll find something, but they never give you the number, and we never do it again. It's like always beating around the bush. It's never a direct no. So we have problems saying no. Well, not me. I like saying no. I think it's healthy to say no, because you got to be honest with someone, because otherwise you are feeding into their expectations. Obviously, if people are trying to convince you to do stuff, then yeah, sure, maybe let's see. But it it's hard. It's hard. Saying no is often considered rude. But I mean, you can't say yes to everything, right? So I'm of the opinion that if you don't really want something, you got to be direct and say no. Otherwise, people will think that you are just leading them on, Because let's talk about dating, for example. If you don't want to see the girl again, or if you don't want to see the guy again, and you say, "Oh yeah, let's find something. Let's find a day." No, I'm busy. I feel like it's better to rip off the band-aid and say no, and I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel like it's less pressure on the girl who said no, because she knows that he's not gonna try to contact her again, and it's the guy is gonna be less naive, I would say. I don't know. It's interesting. We we tend to be honest, but when it comes to favors or making plans, it's hard to say no. But I think it's healthy to know how to say no, right? I saw a video of a YouTuber who was just having lunch, and then people walked up to him and started singing to him. And then his girlfriend was like, "They're gonna ask you money at the end," and he was just sitting there, and they played music, and he didn't want to have that music, but they asked him for 20 bucks, and he said, "No, I can give you 10." And they actually put 20 on the card machine, and then he had to pay. So it felt like he was scammed without wanting to be in that situation. He felt very uncomfortable. So and that happens a lot with tourists when you're in another country. People come, they give you free stuff, and then they try to charge you for it and guilt trip you into it. So it's important, especially if you go to France or Italy. A lot of people try to do that. They guilt you into paying for stuff. So try to learn how to just say, guys, no. I think it's healthy for everyone. You ghost them. See, yeah, but that's the thing. Ghosting people is, I think that's the rude thing to do. Saying no is being honest, but ghosting them, I think that just makes them more anxious. I would rather if somebody just says no rather than making me anxious. Just rip off the band-aid, you know.
In Korean, there are some grammar points, for example, el 것 같아요, or that it's in their speech. So if you speak a certain way, you seem more polite, but it's not a direct speech. So I don't know, if you do something like this, it might be better. Yeah. But what they want to say is, just do it this way. Yeah. Okay. Just a great example is when you buy something and they are like, 교환이나 환불 힘드실 거예요. That means we're not gonna exchange anything. So
no 환불.
No refund.
어려우세요.
You guys have no refund in Korea?
But it just means no.
To be honest, back home, if you lose weight, people will talk. They're like, "Are you not eating? Do you have a big pain? What's wrong with you?" If you gain weight, then people will compliment you. So it's really different.
Oh, so
Yes.
where you're from, it's more attractive to have more weight.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like they really discourage people
Hi, Hansi.
to be thin.
Yeah.
They think they have a very big pain, or they are very stressed that their life is really going downhill.
It looks like they're not eating.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's very different from Korea.
Yes. When I came back home, they were telling me I should eat more. When I came here, they were telling me I should eat less.
Oh, wait. You're saying some people don't take no for an answer? Yeah, then you got to block those people because they're stalking you at this point. If you say no to them and they're still going after you, yeah, they're dangerous. If they're still insisting and you're saying no, a clear no. No, I'm not talking about like, oh, no. No, I'm saying no. Oh, man.
Have that similarity. Then when I want to say like no, but then I want to say like no, then it's a different kind of no. Maybe, but I really don't think so. It will be like that. We will say the same thing.
Yeah.
And I will believe if they come to Venezuela, they're all touchy. They will feel like, oh my gosh, why are you touching me? And then they will understand why we're so touchy.
Yeah, that's very different from Korea. They don't.
Yeah, they don't touch.
at all here.
I have to ask permission first to touch. And in my home country, I just go and hug you just the first time I saw you. For us, it's really normal.
Yeah.
Here was a culture shock because I wanted to, I was so, happy to be here, to make friends, that I want to hug everybody. And everyone was like, please don't touch me. I was like, oh my God, stop me. I think if you're Korean and you want to talk foreigners, they will talk to you like happy because actually they're here and they want to make friends.
Yeah.
And it's really important for us that we're living here to make lasting friendships. That's what we're looking for. And if you've never been to Korea and you want to come to Korea, it's going to be a great experience. So either one, it's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know down below. All right, guys, I'm Sean, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Okay. So this is an interesting thing because every country has their own culture, and what you perceive as true might not be true in another country. There are places where nodding means no, and there are places where, like in India, when you do that, it kind of means yes, you know. So you got to be careful with the country you're living in, so that you won't step on a few shoes, you know, step on someone's foot. You know what I'm saying? Um, because the thing is, we are all different, and it doesn't matter if we learned how to be a certain way, but if we are talking to a person from another country, we kind of need to understand that they are different, and that's the only way we can coexist, I would say. It's interesting. It's an interesting fact. um I don't know where I'm from anymore because I've been traveling the whole world. So I like things that I've learned growing up. I don't know where I learned them from anymore, because there's a few things that in my mind I think maybe it's something that I learned here or maybe there. Where did I learn this from? And there's a few things that come from just generation. Like for example, to be very expressive, it's in the blood, like, you know, just in the blood. um I get it from my family. It's interesting. With that said, let me know, what is the biggest difference that you guys see? Communication might be hard sometimes, but I think if we are open with each other and honest, then I think we can coexist. And also, never be angry or just or offended. Just try to understand what people really mean, because there's a big culture in like an internet culture where it's unforgiving if you say a wrong word, because people are like, oh, that's not what you meant. That's what Listen to what people are trying to say rather than reading what especially if people are using translations. The other day I saw a sarcastic comment and people were taking it seriously, and I'm like, see, that's the thing. Sarcasm doesn't translate through text. In fact, I was talking to my editor, and he was saying, listen, because I sent him a sarcastic message saying, okay, guys, I said, what did I say? Let me see. I told him, we're not going to cut the videos anymore, the movies. We're going to put the full movie just because this person is telling us to do it this way. And he was like, wait, what? What do you mean? That's going to get the channel deleted. And then he's like, oh, it took me a while to understand this was sarcasm. It's funny because sarcasm doesn't translate through text. So yeah, but it's funny to see. And also, there are a lot of people who are sarcastic or people who have different senses of humor. So it's interesting. It really is. And I don't know what country gets offended the most, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful. With that said, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. It's nice to check out these type of videos because we understand each other better. We'll see you. Take care for now. Bye-bye.